Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. As we continue our series on our lived faith experiences, today's Do You Know question concerns discipleship. So, do you know the discipleship lesson from Luke's parable of the widow and the unjust judge? In Lectionary Year C, we proclaim the Gospel of Luke, which is primarily focused around justice and the need for justice in our relationship with all, most especially the poor and the vulnerable who have no one to speak for or act on their behalf. Justice in the biblical tradition is always right relationship with God, with creation, and with other people. And on the 29th Sunday, in Ordinary Time in Lectionary Year C, we proclaim the parable of the widow and the unjust judge, a parable, by the way, unique to Luke's Gospel. Now, widows in the patriarchal society that Jesus was living in, widows were women who had no male to speak or act on their behalf. And therefore they were very, very vulnerable. There was no husband, no father, or no son to speak on their behalf. And so this widow boldly takes action and goes and speaks on her own behalf to an unjust judge of a patriarchal mindset. Now, the parable continues with the unjust judge fears neither God nor any human being, but yet somehow or other, because of the persistence of the woman and because of the fear that she might do something nasty to him, decides to grant her request. Now, Luke puts this particular parable in the context of persistence in prayer, is in order that as we consistently persistent in prayer, God will respond to our request. This is kind of a strange kind of way of looking at prayer to begin with, and also it's a strange image to have an unjust judge represent God. And so a number of commentators, biblical commentators, especially women, have asked us to look at and suggested that we look at this parable from another perspective. And their suggestion is that we switch roles in who images God. That ideally, the way they would present it is that the widow actually represents God, and the unjust judge represents us, those who are called to discipleship. And therefore, in this scenario, which, by the way, is very consistent with Luke's theology and theological unpacking of the gospel, in this scenario, Jesus, as a powerless widow, continually petitions us, demands from us to as disciples to act with justice and to live lives of justice. So in this particular case, we have the unjust judge being us, who always strive and have challenges to act and live justly, and we have the widow, powerless, demanding, as an image of God, demanding that we consistently live and act with justice. This shift gives a deeper and richer meaning to this parable and enables us to really kind of understand Luke's gospel, especially the demands that Jesus makes in Luke's gospel, that as disciples we are called to act with justice, to live justly and act with justice. So the lesson that we take from this gospel with regards to discipleship is that Jesus demands, in the person of God, Jesus demands that we consistently act with justice and continually petitions us to do so. So as you reflect on this Sunday's gospel, think of how you are called as a disciple to live and act with justice. So I hope this has helped to explain a bit of the discipleship lesson in this parable of the widow and the unjust judge, and I hope you'll return again to more Do You Know series question as we continue to explore our lived faith tradition in and through the gospel stories. Thank you very much.